Welcome back to Entangled Observations. In this video, I want to go over something that I came up with when I was younger. I'm sure I didn't invent it. Everybody invents the wheel over and over again, right? But this was a way that I had developed sort of to manage my life and to protect myself from the world. The way that I developed it was through comparing it to staying warm in the winter, because where I live, way up in the Great White North, it's very important to stay protected from the elements, particularly the cold. So what you learn how to do is you learn how to dress in layers. For example, you might have a hat or a toque, something like that. You might have a face covering if it's really cold. You'll want to wear a t-shirt. You'll want to have another shirt over that, preferably cotton or something that breathes. Maybe you'd have a light jacket over that, and then you could even have a bigger jacket that you put over that. You'd want gloves, right? And so you dress yourself up in layers, and you learn how to do that. With your pants, you might have long johns on, then pants over it if it's really cold out. So I started looking at my financial world that way too. And I started thinking of it in terms of layers. I did this in college because I realized that I was only a few steps away, because I was pretty young. I didn't have a lot of resources. I was only a few steps away from disaster, and everybody wants to avoid disaster, right? So the way that I would layer my life was that I had what I immediately relied on to live, and that would be like my job. And then I would have what I would have to live on if my job suddenly disappeared. So that would have been savings. But then I would have underneath that my connections and so forth, and job opportunities that I had elsewhere, and I always maintained those. I have had a job, the same job, for a very long time, but I always maintained those options so that if I lost that job, I could go get another one very quickly. I actually had a scare like that a few years ago, and I contacted an old employer, and I was hired right away. They said, just come down. You've got a job as soon as you need it. So that was another layer underneath that. And you have to maintain those connections. You maintain your friendships, you maintain your connections with the bosses, and you make sure that you leave on an amicable basis so that you can come back if you need to. I see people all the time posting that they just left their job and they always leave it in a great big wreck and an absolute disaster. And in my opinion, that's a really dangerous thing to do, because you may rely on that, because that's one of those layers that comes just under savings. Because as soon as you're dipping into your savings, you're in a lot of trouble. You want to avoid that. Now, underneath that, then you have things like unemployment insurance or friends and family, but you need to put those. You'd go for the unemployment insurance. Then you maybe have friends and family that could help you out and that kind of thing. And then underneath that, you may have other layers depending on your situation. I don't know, right? You may even have, hey, worst comes to worst, I've got my car. I can just stay in my car for a while. But really what you want to do is you want to avoid that ultimate disaster, which would be homelessness, right? And so by setting your life up and just literally taking out a piece of paper and writing down what layers of protection you have, you can set up sort of a ladder. And hopefully you want to stay at the top rung all the time. That's where you've got income coming in, you've got money, you've got a way to maintain your situation and keep yourself where you are. But in the event something happens to that, then you can go to the next rung, the next rung, the next rung. And hopefully one of those rungs will catch you and you can start to climb back up on the rung. Anyway, that's what I came up with in college. And I sort of have always lived my life that way now. And I'm no financial genius by any means, but this model has served me extremely well over the years. And so I just wanted to share that. I thought, and I hope that someone might find it helpful. It's just a little tip. Yeah, if you enjoyed this video, please like it and share it. And don't forget to subscribe. And please leave a comment. I read all comments. I'd love to hear from you. What do you think? Did I miss something? Could you add something to it? I'd love to hear from you. Thanks for watching the video, and talk to you next time.